right, we're back. Jorge,
We're back.
how are you?
Good. It's raining in Los Angeles. It's gray. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how much we have to catch up on because since the top of the new year, it's been literally the Wild West in Los Angeles, my former home for many decades and still your current home. So, wow, we have a lot to talk about.
Yes. I mean,
let's start with right now. I wonder why you're smiling so much right in this exact moment. Please tell us.
I'm smiling because it's I go onto the app called Firewatch or whatever. Firewatch? What is it called? Not Firewatch. The one that is like known for profit of this heroic guy is putting Watch Duty.
Watch Duty.
Yeah, and then it's all like gone. Like I was on the verge of the like pink zone basically, and I evacuated. I had to evacuate like a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And that put me into this fight or flight situation that I've never been in, where I had to leave everything behind. And I almost didn't evacuate. People called me. My several friends called me because I was like next to the Sunset Fire. I had no idea about fires. I mean, now I wouldn't say I'm an expert yet, but I now know that if there's a fire close enough, I mean, that it can spread so fast. And before you know it, you're like engulfed. Anyway,
I mean, I want to stay on that, but when you say even you as a longtime Los Angeles resident are just learning, the sweeping power of it, right? And there's an exact reason why it's called wildfires and wildfire season, right? Not to be political, but when you have somebody on the other coast who doesn't like California and says stupid things like you should just sweep the forest better, that's not exactly how wildfires go. They're not controllable like that, So
yeah.
It's not it's refreshing to hear you say that of like even you are still learning. It's not refreshing in the sense of like how much destruction has been has happened this year. I mean, every year it's a threat. Every year something happens. It's like Calabasas' turn. It's Simi Valley's turn. It's Malibu's turn. Then it's Malibu again. Then it's Agura. But this year, I mean, like just unbelievable. Like so much worse than ever.
Yeah, no, it was. I'm still, in a way, kind of processing it. To be quite. I mean, probably most of us, right? Like, I want to also hear from you. Like, you are in a different spot, and I don't know how much you want to share about your situation.
Well, let's go. But before we move, let's stick with it's raining.
It's raining right now.
And
it's raining right now.
In this exact moment, like we're taping right now, which is Saturday, January 26th. It's about 11 a.m.
I wonder if you can see it on the camera. Let's see. No, you can't really see.
Not exactly, but we're getting a hint. We're getting a hint
it's
of it.
Raining,
and we'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Because this podcast still does believe in fact checking. So if you were lying, I would jump through that screen myself.
That's right.
Anyway, but what a blessing, because for all of the work that firefighters on the ground can do, and the trucks and the pumps and the air tankers and things like that, right? Like there's still just only so much that humans can do once these are out of control. But the skies can do something completely different. And like California is a desert. It's not known for its rain. So it's not, it's not easy. But
yeah, and the other thing is also like it's not like we've supposedly been, I've been in Los Angeles for 10 years, and there was a drought when I arrived, and there was a few years, like for the last 2-3 years, there's been torrential rains around this time. So it's not like it's been like without rain, but the problem is that it's not consistent rain. And of course, if there's not enough consistent rain, that everything dries up, no matter how, if it rained a lot like a month ago or whatever, because it's a desert.
Of course. And I bet that's it. But you can't turn it on when you need it.
That's right.
It's not controllable. We'll put it that way. As opposed to other people that talk about the weather being changed by, space lasers.
Oh, yeah. The Jews controlling the weather with space lasers.
I mean, we're only 5 minutes in, and there's already been a bunch of, right-leaning political jams. But I just can't help myself.
Yeah.
But, is the rain light right now? Because I'm not there. Like, is it?
It's like medium. It's medium. It's not like Costa Rica for sure. No, it's actually that's pretty heavy. Like it's
pretty strong.
It's pretty strong. Yeah, like this is kind of wet. Yeah.
It's just like you said a few moments ago that when the rain has been coming, right? Sometimes it's like crazy amounts.
Oh no, it's not like that. It's not like a deluge like we've had in the. That's another problem.
Yeah, because then now all the brush is gone, and all the houses and all the drains are clogged. So now the water just like washes hillsides away, messes up roads, and potentially. And then all of the stuff that burned and melted goes right into the ocean. So now the ocean's going to be full of
everything, and then we pick up the fish and we eat it.
And
sorry, I talked over you. And then could you say that again?
No, no worries. I was just talking with my friend Matt about this last night, and Matt is also a surfer, and Matt is also an environmentalist, and we were just talking about that, about like, oh God, when the first rain comes, like, I mean, even I lived in Malibu for about 8 years, and I almost never went surfing there. One, because it was cold, and two, I was too busy, and it's like it's right in front of my face, and then I wasn't using it, But
yeah,
it's actually more enjoyable surfing in other countries because it's warmer and usually cleaner too.
Yeah,
because every time it rains, everything just goes right out, because again, there's not, just like we said, there's not that consistent level of rain. So when it happens, then all of a sudden everything in the gutters of Los Angeles is then in the ocean. It's crazy.
Wow, I had not thought about this actually. Yeah, all of the battery chemicals, all of the poison that the glues of whatever that the houses were made of, all the stuff that was in the air for weeks, and I was walking around with a mask to not breathe in.
Right.
All of it right now is being flushed down to the ocean. And here I was thinking that this was just pure bliss.
It is bliss. It is bliss. I'm just saying, just don't go get in the water right now. That's all.
Yeah, no, I was not but then like the fish eat all of, I mean, it's not even plastic anymore. This is just extreme toxicity that is in the water now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, this is a good time for you to go on a steady stream of plant food, only from outside California, and maybe
no fish for me for a while.
A couple gallons of muscle milk a day, you'll be good.
That's right.
It's actually, I just said that because everybody would know what that meant, but that product is such shit. It's terrible.
Muscle milk? I don't think I've tried it.
It's garbage. It's
wow.
garbage. But the rain is a blessing. I wasn't trying to like that down.
No, it is. It's just that you can't win. It's like, wow. No, but it's true. It's like we're doing this to the planet. Like I was thinking of Japan, like when the Japanese constructions are all made of wood, and how like their interconnections between the walls are with wedges as opposed to with it's all done by pressure points and like not like using glue. So like when if a house were to burn down, all you got is burnt wood. There's and perhaps some paint, on it. That's it. But here you got, the battery of your car that you didn't, because you have 3, so you can only drive 1 out if you're in like the Palisades, and so at least one of them gets burned to the ground.
Palisade shaming already.
No, I mean this is the one that is closest to the ocean, right? Like I'm talking about what's closest to the ocean.
Yeah. Don't get it twisted. There are people in Altadena with money too.
Oh, for sure. But they're not close to an ocean, like so the water is not running into. It's not right there. I'm thinking just about the ocean, about how the ocean is going to be like fed a downstream diet of burnt lithium battery, whatever that turns into after it's burnt.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because the fires haven't even like finished in order for anyone to even begin like on-site cleanup.
Well, right.
So of course whatever was there is now being dampened down. Any arson evidence is now washing away too.
Oh wow.
But it feels but at the moment though, if it's making you and other Angelinos feel better today, then it really is bliss.
Yeah, and I mean, I stayed in bed and I was like, I looked outside, I was like, wow, it just feels like cleansing, for sure. Yeah, it feels really good. And to look at the map and not see it all, red or pink or whatever, and that you're like next to it is like such a relief. It's like I for the first time I feel not safe, as in, I mean, we'll see, right? Like who knows if it dries up in like 3 days and then it becomes again a problem. But this is a lot of rain. Like this seems like a lot of rain, and this will take at least like a couple of weeks to dry up. I hope. What do I know? Why do I know?
I mean, it is the cycle.
It is a cycle.
It grows, it dies. Yeah.
Yeah, but like so yeah. How are you doing?
It's very odd for me because to watch, like a whole area that I spent 8 years is a long time. Like that's out of anybody's life. Like that is a significant percentage, right? And to watch the news and not be there and not have the information that I think I need, right? Like I can't, like I'm seeing like, okay, they go to, the Real Inn burned down and the Topanga Ranch Motel burned down and like, okay, well that, like I know exactly where that is. And I'm like, that, like it didn't feel good, right? And then for the fire to just be going for days and days and days and still, like I said, oh, they saved the Getty. Oh, like, well, good for them, but like that doesn't do anything for what I'm thinking about, right? Because I lived in Malibu again about 8 years, 3 different houses there, and one of them was touched. It came right to it, but that's a big cement monstrosity, so like that place was not going to burn down. So that place was fine. And I had a lot of great memories like in that last house that I had. That's where like the farewell of leaving the US with party was in that house. And many plant journeys were in that house too. That one was fine. But my favorite house of all the 3 is completely destroyed.
No.
The beach shack. And that was the second house that I was in.
Well, you have 3 houses in Malibu, or you had one and then you switched?
I lived in 3.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Over that time.
Okay.
I'm not talking about possession. I'm just talking about like
about living in.
And yes,
I see.
The possession part isn't relevant to this conversation, at least.
Yes.
But it's relevant to my real life, but it's not relevant to like public speaking life.
Yes.
So the second house, and again, lots of friends and family and my daughters were in that house, and my dog was in that house, and that's the house where she didn't die in the house, but she got hit on PCH when I was living there. So all of these memories and things are like tied to like that house. Like that house had 100-year-old, oak trees. We climbed one of them, one day. I built a swing on that oak tree, for my kids, and had epic, birthday parties and summer parties and, all sorts of like just unbelievable memories there. It had the house had its own like tunnel to get under PCH to get to the ocean, just because it was just on the other side of PCH. And so it's completely gone. And I showed you the picture of that last night. In fact,
that's the one I know.
That's the one. Well, two of the three houses.
Well, I guess so. Yeah. One was an apartment.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But this one again, which I'll show.
That's the concrete monstrosity that you're talking about.
Was the last one.
Got it. I see.
And
I would never think that would burn down. Like it's impossible for that to burn down. Not impossible, I guess, but it's like
the fire like came to it, jumped over Sunset. I think it burned down like a little electric shop or key shop that was like right there, or maybe the abandoned Jack in the Box might have burned down. Like just looking from the maps, it's like it came to the building and then it stopped because I think it ran out of even everything. Like it was just like cement driveways, cement 8-10 story buildings, so the fire had nowhere to go there. But anyway, back to the beach shack. So so as this was all like happening, right, like it was impossible to get like real answers as to like what's going on, because everybody had been evacuated. So even the people I knew that were neighbors of the beach shack, nobody had any answers. And I'm trying to like keep calm and keep my peace as this is all going on. I'm not in California. I'm not there right now. I'm not in danger. But yet it still was like, I was like, I'm like watching people YouTube of like Channel 7's helicopter footage, and I'm trying to, I'm just making myself a little too crazy and upset and obsessive, like during that time of like when this is like happening. And I, as of course, the universe, I believe, was, like poking me of being like, stop, because I couldn't get the answer no matter how much I kept pushing, and I'm just like, so I was like heavy into trying to consume news to find out about that house, and then I couldn't get it, and then I tried to like lay off a bit, and then I did find out that it was, burned to the ground, and then now there are on-site graphic, I'll share that one of how the graphic of it's all you see is like the foundation and
the chimney,
the brick chimney, right? Like the three little pigs should have made your house of bricks, right?
Yes.
But it's just wild, and I will I'll put pictures up here too, because it's a house. It was wood, it was paint, it was nails. But there's so many feelings and memories and life events and things that happen there, and I don't want to over,
but of course, it's like if nothing, I mean, how, if this doesn't matter, what matters? If you're home and your memories.
I know, but I'm like pinballing about it,
No,
I'm trying to not be so, but then.
No, come on.
Then and again, I'm showing pictures here of all of selected pictures of
selected pictures. No, it's terrible.
But so when you ask the question, like, how am I doing? It's like, it's a loss, and it's upsetting, and it like, even people, I mean, you included, that have had like specific, like memories, like in that house. Like I've been, texting and having little catch-ups, with folks about that, and it just, it's upsetting. It's really upsetting,
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry, man. That's terrible. My house didn't burn down, but when I left my apartment, I left thinking that it could burn down.
Sure.
Thinking that this was the last time I was going to see this apartment. And I took my things, and there was this peace that if it did burn down, that it would be like, I don't want to sound like an arsonist, but like, that it would be like liberating. Isn't it? I've never had this feeling ever before, where everything except 2 bags of mine gets burned.
Right.
And there was an incredible sense of freedom. It reminded me of the movie Up in the Air. I don't know if you saw it.
Which one is that?
Up in the Air is this guy that like travels around the world, or travels around the country all the time, and he has an apartment with nothing, and he just has like 1 bag, and his job is to fire people, and it's all about the like not putting roots down and not growing something. Clooney? That's with George Clooney. That's right.
Yeah, I do remember it.
Yeah, so he goes and does speeches and so like, imagine putting all your stuff in a bag and then let it burn. And for the first time, I understood what that feeling is like. Yeah. And I'm saying this also because there might be like a silver lining in all of this. I feel like there might be, or at least a story that we can tell each other, or I can tell you because you were the one that lost a house, not me. I have 4 people that lost houses, and when I was away at staying at someone else's, the thought of this reset came by, and like it at least gave me gave me peace, like allowed me to fall asleep, and like what's going to burn is, like you said, like it's just wood, nails, and the memories, right? The memories is really what got me, right? So when I came back, I had in my storage, I have still in my storage, in my garage, 6 boxes of pictures from my childhood that they were never digitized. They were all like printed. And then I realized, for the first time, so one thing I was like, because then I started to see people, celebrities, I'm like, I wish I had taken my albums. And I was like, oh my God, the albums. That would be really a tragedy to lose.
Meaning like, photo albums.
Photo albums, yeah. Yeah, not music albums. And then, but before that, the one thing that I was like, I don't know who it was, but like, I wish I had gotten my wedding dress out, right? Someone said this. And I was like, what? Like, once I was out of here, I was like, what is it that I wish I could go back and get? And the only thing that I wish I had come back and get was the guitar, my guitar.
Okay.
For whatever, it's a wood, right? I can buy another one, but that guitar means something to me, right? And then I had not even clocked the idea of the photographs. So for the last 2 weeks, I asked my mom, please scan everything. Like it would have been, it's like, I don't know, 10 albums of when I was a kid. All of that would have.
Sorry, does your mom still live around the corner from you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We evacuated together.
This was not just you.
It was not just me, and we stayed at the son of my landlady, who was the one that called and be like, you need to get out. I was gonna stay, but then I was like, wait, what? I have a Vespa. If anything happens, I can just that was my thinking. I could just exit in the Vespa.
You'd be like one of those movies that you are going around, all the cars stuck
with fire and whatever. So. But then I was like, well, my mom is not. I have to take care of my mom. So then we left. I finally was like, let's go. And then I'm glad that we did, because a friend of mine from Chile told me that like some people, like when he had that happened in Chile as well, and 450 people died because they didn't want to leave. I was like, oh, whatever, if we leave, like looters are gonna come and steal our things, like we're gonna stay. And then the fire came too close, and then everybody rushed. There was a traffic jam, and everybody died, burnt either inside their cars or under their cars. Like,
to that same point, you started this conversation by saying that you didn't have enough information yourself. So, looking back on the people that died, anybody can point the finger and say, oh, I would have done differently, or why didn't they just ...
Yeah.
Well,
that and not knowing, not only information, right? Like the information is, oh, there's a fire in Sunset, like it's very close. You're almost, forced to evacuate. When you are in an evacuation zone, the light turns off, like meaning the city unplugs it, so that the power lines don't cause further damage. So we were not forced to evacuate. We were just told like, you're really close, like be ready. And
sure,
we just left. We're not very close. We were in it, and then the zone was like the one before you must leave by order or whatever.
And the one that was going to affect you was the Hollywood Hills one, right?
No, the Sunset Fire. The Sunset Fire was the one that like started kind of like in West Hollywood at Runyon Canyon. Yeah.
That one was short by the stages of the other one, so
it was short, but it was fast. It was.
I didn't call it by its proper name, but it was in the Hollywood Hills.
Correct.
By Runyon.
Yeah.
That's the only one that was in that area, right?
Mm-mm. No, there was another one that was apparently started by an arsonist, like in Griffith, but it was put out really quick.
That was like a week later or something.
Yeah, it was last week, I think. But I was worried because I live by the Hollywood sign, and like if an arsonist wants to have make headline news, this is pretty much where you go. I mean, all the AI pictures of Hollywood burning were of the sign. So
maybe as much as I despise AI, maybe at least if people could get their rocks off of burning things down in AI and posting it, I'll take that horseshit.
Sure.
Instead of actually like ruining lives, but
yeah.
How many people fell for that fake?
A lot of people. Not some. I don't know how many people fell for it, but like the fact of the matter is, it's like the 9/11 of LA, right? Like if you want to do damage to the city, you go to the Hollywood sign, and that's a scar that would be like forever remembered, right? Like if somebody wants to be like play the villain.
Well, minus the lives part, but like I think the Palisades fire. Again, people had a chance to get out, as opposed to people in the buildings didn't have a chance to get out from 9/11.
Right.
But the damage of people now being homeless, some people killed, but a very small amount. I don't want to conflate it with 9/11, but this, at the moment, I believe it is the biggest disaster in the history of Los Angeles. So, I mean, use whatever words make sense, but like this is the biggest fucking deal of what's happened to Los Angeles in history.
Oh yeah. And I don't mean to say that I'm saying like this was not 9/11 in the sense like there was not a terrorist attack. I'm saying that if somebody had like if somebody wanted to play the villain and like come up with a way to destroy the city, it's not so hard, because all you gotta pick is a couple of idiots that will go along with an ideology that this needs to be burned down because whatever, fill in the reason. And it's not difficult, right? Like this is what scares me if somebody had just a fraction of intelligence. The city is very vulnerable. Is I guess what I am. Very vulnerable. And I also didn't realize how badass of the firefighters we have. Like here is insane. Yep. Like it's incredible.
I mean, for better or for worse, even though the damage was the worst, this wasn't the first time. So like,
right.
It could have been much worse.
Yes.
Because, again, it appears that people were joining in for sport to just start more fires.
Yeah.
And of course, there's only so much, resource and whatever, but it could have been, even though it's the worst, it could have been worse than the worst.
Yes.
And just to back for a second, I know you weren't comparing that to 9/11. I was just talking it through in my head of like, it is a disaster. It is different, but everybody in the world knows what 9/11 means, and it became this iconic thing. And I'm just saying that this kind of is LA. It is, whatever somebody wants to title it, but this is the biggest thing that's ever happened to Los Angeles.
Yeah, and this was a wildfire, right? It wasn't man-made, so it was not like 9/11, a coordinated attack.
Well, some of it was not man-made.
You think that? Well, sure. I feel like there were some arsonists that started, but the main one, the Palisades. Are there news that there was an arsonist, or they started the whole thing?
I'm not at all suggesting the whole thing was. I think that.
Okay. I don't know.
I think that there's a significant part of it that was wind and timing, because they couldn't go up at night. And just in those hours in the dark that they couldn't go up, I don't know that the first thing was arson. Don't quote me. I'm just saying.
Okay.
There was some nefariousness involved in the whole picture, but I don't know for a fact that it started that way now.
I see. Yeah. I what a craziness. What a crazy experience. Anyway, I'm always worried about the dark part of humanity that, has lost our sense of hope and wants to just watch it's like the Joker, right? Like some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yes.
Like Nero in Rome. And it's something about human nature, I think, that we like to destroy. I kind of get it. Like, you go to Burning Man and you watch, like, it's a controlled burn, right? Like, but you get to see something burn. And something in our subconscious mind is like, oh, peace, this is what it is. Like, stories, part of nature. And just takes one sick human with a little bit of IQ to do a lot of damage.
Of course. And well, sure. And the thing I think that statement that it only takes one, right, has always been true. And if you go back 60 years, it only took one guy to shoot JFK, to which then presidents weren't allowed to be outside anymore. And then it only took, one guy to do whatever. Now, everyone's addicted to attention. Everyone's addicted to, like, now, like, all the shootings don't even make the news anymore. Because they're all the time. And and you get a huge amount of notoriety and attention for it. And I mean, the 1960s when Kennedy was shot, like, I wasn't alive then, but it was a tumultuous time, but not like this. Now there's like double the population, more or less, than there were then. And how much, like, hatred's a strong word, but how much animosity is there right now against California, with people like losing everything and people clapping and that's what you get, and I'm like, oh, it's just disgusting.
Envy, right? Envy is one of the biggest things that we have to contend with in ourselves. Like, life didn't go the way you wanted for yourself, or somebody got a better, chance at life, and for whatever reason.
Or you didn't vote.
Or you didn't vote.
You didn't vote the right way.
Or you didn't vote the right way. Yeah.
That's a huge part of it. Like, the anger in the politics, the putting people against each other that's been going on for quite some time now. And it's just, Los Angeles is coming together for Los Angeles. Like, that is heartwarming. But the outside, like,
like the people are criticizing Los Angeles, the rich people?
All of the outside animosity and negative commentary. And I'm just like, it's so gross. Like, I don't recall during 9/11 people going anti-New York and you deserved it. I don't recall that. I mean, maybe.
No.
But it certainly, with the lack of angry, contrived social media platforms in 2001, that didn't come to me if there were people out there saying it, because there weren't people desperate to get attention to say something disgusting.
Yeah,
and
that's
now,
right.
Anybody can say anything, and I'm anonymous.
I'm anonymous, like me, right? Like, let me do triggering things and put bogus evidence and bad reasoning together all into one concocted 140 character tweet.
It's upsetting, and I just, again, I like, the United States is it's just not what it was. And like, whenever that decision was made to, like, turn to, well, it's not just us disagreeing on how to spend the country's money on building parks or highways. Now, if that person doesn't vote the same way, well, they're bad people and they're stupid. All the stuff that was said and so unintelligent, and I'm just like, there's no line anymore.
Yeah, no.
And then it just goes all the way down to the bottom. And somebody tried to shoot Trump. Somebody, trespassed at Biden's house. Just the lack of concern, or the lack of, like, class anymore. Just, oh God! Like, how a whole city burned down, and people's warpedness. Some people's warpedness.
Yeah, and it's also, who knows what's the percentage of people that are thinking this. Perhaps it's a big percentage, but it's definitely the percentage that gets pushed by the algorithm. This is something also very important to remember, that the algorithm favors anger. And so if we're seeing all the anger and we're like, oh my God, these people, classless idiots that are like blah, 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 blah. It might be just a very small fraction of the actual population that thinks this. But the algorithm gives us something to talk about. So it puts us against those people. The 1% that actually went to Twitter and said horrible things. And so it's important to like rein in our own reactions against the perceived notion that there's a ton of people thinking this. Maybe there are a lot of people thinking this, like, oh, whatever, they're rich, who cares?
Yeah.
or like they deserve it because whatever, they're sodomites or whatever I mean, like the entertainment people are like vampires or whatever the story is that some people tell themselves,
Sure.
like the Hollywood vampire pedophile club or whatever.
Right. Well, they have to make up their mind. Either they're pedophiles or they eat the babies, but you can't do both. Like,
you can't do both. You can't do both at the same time.
Unless you have to get it in the proper order, I guess.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Well, and for clarity, I'm not. To me, it's not even about the number of people having this feeling. It's the second part, which you talked about, which is the amplification, and it's even more relevant and despicable, in my opinion, because just like California, the crap is a wildfire too.
Yes.
All of the misinformation, the anger, despicable things being said about people that don't deserve it, and it just gets amplified like wildfire. And how many people eat it up, or at least are exposed to it.
Well, it's entertainment,
it
right?
Affects, your experience, of course.
Yeah, it's just entertainment. It's like literally like watching. You go to the supermarket and you see the celebrity magazines. I mean, once they get married, the only thing left for them to do is have kids or get divorced. So like you're just waiting for the next plot point, right?
And hire Laura Wasser or whatever her name is, like the biggest angry divorce attorney for the Hollywood women.
I see. No, I don't know this.
Right. Oh, it's hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
This is from the movie, The Separation or whatever it's called.
No, this is real life. Where every time there's a there's a celebrity. Yeah. Every time I got it right because I've been susceptible to it. That's her name. Whenever she
What's her name again?
I don't know. Let me be careful what I'm saying. Whenever her name goes in, it's very often written, Disso Queen Laura Wasser has been hired by so-and-so. And Disso Queen, for those who haven't been divorced, means it's the Disso Master, which is the calculation of how much money does he have, how much money does she have, how much is it worth, and put it in and it spits out the number. And, of course you're trying to get the numbers to go your way. So it's like, it's like working really hard against the government on your taxes, right? That's what the Disso Master is. And so whenever her name's in the news, it will often say Disso Queen Laura Wasser has been hired to represent so-and-so, so-and-so.
I see. No, but I was also right in the sense that the movie that was there's a movie where this character is portrayed by hold on, let me just that goes through the whole thing, and it's her, and I couldn't even finish watching it. It was so hard to watch. It was so painful to watch.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? That it won the Oscar. Like this woman won the Oscar for portraying her.
Oh, was that the one with Scarlett Johansson? And
yes, that's right. Correct.
I turned it off after like 5 minutes.
I couldn't. Perfect. Oh my God, it was so hard to watch. It was like this poor. I mean, I get the guy cheated. He definitely should get a punishment for that. But the level of oh my God, it was horrifying. And then when he goes to his lawyer, who is like the guy who was from Goodfellas, and he goes to that lawyer, and that lawyer tells him like really fucked up things to do, really like shitty things to do, and he's like, no, I don't want to do that. She would never treat and he goes to another lawyer because this lawyer was too bad, but not knowing that the lawyer that she hired was way worse than this gangster that he wanted to hire. Incredible.
Yeah. I already lived that in real life. So there's two kinds of movies that I just turn off. And back in the day, it would be walk out. Well, now I don't even have to walk out because I don't ever go into a theater anymore. One is like that movie you're describing, like Angry Divorce. Can't and won't. I just like I don't want to see it. The other is If Children Get Hurt. And I absolutely turn it off as well. Those are my things.
Or the dog dies.
Well, I mean, that one is tough, but that's also a little more like I don't know, a little more normal.
Well, there's I think there's a website that's
Sorry, you could have like 5 dogs live their full life end to end with one of our lives. So it's like I feel like with pets, like I don't know. It was hard when my dog died, but it was
yeah, it's more normal. You see it more in your lifespan.
Yeah.
But there's a website, I think it's called like Does the Dog Die or something like this, because so you can filter your movies.
I believe I heard about that.
So that like if you have kids, like you take him to see a dog movie, and you don't want to then explain to the kid after the movie that dogs die. You want to have the illusion that life is forever until their dog dies or their grandma dies, and then you have the conversation. You don't want them to be introduced to death and the futility of life over a movie that is supposed to be heartwarming and so on and so forth. So yeah, no, that's interesting. No divorce. I like those rules. No divorce. No children get hurt. Anything else?
Those are the big ones that come to mind.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how I pivoted to divorce lawyers, but
because it's just what people are wired to, right? Like the idea of like anger and like pitting each other, pitting people against each other for control or for attention or virtue. I mean, it's just a few massive political game at the end of the day. It's overwhelming. And our limited brains can only grasp like a fraction of it, and we think we know, and we have to constantly be checking ourselves. And who constantly checks themselves? Like we don't have the time. We have to do our things, run our errands, blah blah blah.
It is overwhelming, and even back to with the fires, like not being there, and even if I was there, I wasn't going to be able to like drive through the area, right? So watching other people's footage was so overwhelming because everything was bad. Everything, everything was terrible, right? And yeah, I had to, like I said, I was so overwhelmed, I had to stop. Because it was like draining me, and it was making me like even more upset.
Oh yeah.
And at one point, sorry, just
no, go ahead.
Here's when it like really like dawned on me, is that somebody I don't even know posted like a 1 minute reel of Los Angeles, and it just went from highlight to highlight of like really like great things about LA, and it had I've already like forgotten, but like it had like great clips and like fun like music in it, if I remember it right. And I watched that and I'm like, I need more of this right now, like give me an IV of this right now, because I can't like keep bathing in the sadness and the disaster, because it just was so affecting me. So that's when I was like yeah, and I didn't post a thing about my house. I posted one thing that talked about like memories and things like that, just in general. And then I reposted that person's happy post. and then I haven't posted anything else, again since, because it is like, it's overwhelming being in a problem, and then again when other people try to add some other element to it. I'm just like, shut up.
For one thing that I realized is that by looking at all my pictures from childhood, slightly, going on this memory thing, is like back then we didn't take so many pictures. I don't know, maybe you did, but like I have barely any very like now everybody's on their phone recording, taking pictures. The memories that I have of my childhood are like one picture when I was whatever, and then like a year later, my birth, right? Like it's very sparse,
right?
And I hope that you have enough pictures of yourself in that house that got burned, because at the very least you have that memory.
I tell you what's interesting about you saying that is that when you're yes, I mean there's a decent amount of pictures,
good,
but then on the other hand, I wasn't chronicling my life either, so now that it's gone, and I asked Apple to give me like every picture that I have that was in this radius of where this house was, and shout out to Apple for that intrusive ability that they have to do that. But there's a lot that also the house, like it was really, I call it, the beach shack, because like it was so like tightly bound by trees and bushes, and like there's no shot like of the house, like when you drive up on a street and there's the house, like no, like there's no full shot to even get what the house was. But now that it's burned to rubble, like, well, you could see the exact shape of what the house was, but you know what I mean? Because like the entry and everything, it was like a weaving path and bushes and trees, and then here's the house, so it's like there aren't even good like chronicled shots, almost every shot's in the interior, almost. Yeah, which is fine, but yeah, and we don't even have a shot. When you and I climbed the tree, like let's get to a happy ending.
Yeah.
Because when you and I climbed that 100-year-old oak that looked out at the ocean, right? The day that we did that, when I came down, I like scraped my back, like coming down the tree. I have a picture of that, but I don't have a picture of us enjoying that day.
But that's at least like it reminds me of that day,
Yeah, like, here's the picture of my back here too. Again, it's just it's underscoring what you say about like what we take pictures of and what we don't. And even now, like, even though the day that we climbed that tree was in 2018 or 2019. I'll have to look at the exact.
Something like that, yeah.
Right, it's right around there. So clearly then we were taking a crap load of pictures by that year, for sure. But I did not find a picture of you in that house.
Yeah, I don't think we did take pictures.
You were in that house.
Yeah.
But I don't have a photo of you in that house. I've got all sorts of, Jesus, I've got like 1,000 pictures of my kids in that house and all their friends coming over and doing beach parties. And
but even in the Costa Rican house, I don't think we have a picture together. It's interesting, right? Like, and now I'm very conscious about this. We do?
We have a picture right on the stairway.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's
We
good to
took a
know.
picture in front of the recreated psychedelic wall.
Okay.
Here. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. But
I remember now. Yes. By the Alice in Wonderland.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember now.
We do
Yes.
have a picture here. And you do appear quite a bit in the last Malibu house that didn't burn down as well.
Yeah, and we did video there, and like, so yeah, I'm much more conscious now. Like, it's interesting because like I'm a photographer and I've done photography for, you know, portraits, and I've done product photography, but somehow in my regular life, in a way, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to be the guy taking pictures all the time, but it really matters to me now to have the, you know, to have a memory of things that I've done, even like a daily journal. Like, I think this is why I also like this, doing this podcast with you, because it's a journal entry of my life, you know.
It is. And the reality is that, you know, I'm not doing it for, you know, the world. I'm doing it for myself and my friends and people that were a part of what we're talking about. You know, if it interests other people, then oh, cool, you know. But like, that's exactly it. Because I feel like, you know, even you know, like filming with my mom and my friends and you know, sharing stories. Like, one day we're gonna forget. And one day we're not going to be able to communicate them, and one day, you know, whatever. So it's like I enjoy, capturing moments, and even when we started this last fall, I mean, I had no idea that we were going to do an hour on Malibu.
Yeah,
it was not even in the hint of ideas.
No.
You know?
Yeah, no, and I've still to edit even look at the footage from the other one that we shot. I know that I took it upon me to edit, and I just couldn't. But I was editing. I was editing the movie about the firefighter in New York City suffering from survivors' guilt and PTSD after 9/11.
Right.
And to me, like, after experiencing PTSD myself on fight or flight, like, I hadn't smoked weed in 5 or 6 months. I was off it, and I finally smoked during after I finally came back from evacuation, and I realized my body was like. This is why, like, you know, I don't think one should smoke weed consistently. I think it's not good for you, for your lungs, and so on. But a certain it can be a medicine. It was very medicinal for me in that moment, because finally I got to relax, and everything was tense. My whole body was just like, and finally I relaxed, and I was able to process and cried a lot, like a lot of like release, because like I was just like, you know, and the fact that you could also at any moment be evacuated again, right? Like,
sure. Yeah.
And if I'm gonna be evacuated again, what else would I take anything more this time? And like, so my bags were out until yesterday. I put them away. You know, with like everything just ready to go.
Right.
And that mindset of like, I mean, then you think about, like, can you imagine people that are at war zones? Like, you know, people that are like waiting. This is the constant state that they're living in.
And we're not made for that.
We're not made for that.
Well, of course, people come back fucked up.
No, exactly. Which takes me to yesterday. I watched the movie The Return. Have you seen this, with Ralph Fiennes? The adaptation of the last part of the Odyssey. It's incredible. I highly recommend. I watched it. It's like, sorry?
Where is it?
I think we bought it on Apple, or we rented on Apple.
Okay.
Apple, yeah, but I think it's on a lot of the networks. I mean, a lot of the channels. It's basically Odysseus coming back after the war, but the take that they did on this on the character is all about the PTSD. Like, he just comes from this war that was senseless. There was not in the book. It's not like this. In the book, it's like he's the hero because he sacked Troy and so on. But in the movie, it was like it was about PTSD basically.
Yeah.
And I completely. It was very profound. It was very well acted. Very well. They changed it a little bit, but who cares? It was very incredible adaptation. but yeah, we're not made for this, and there's people that live with this type of fight or flight constantly.
Yeah.
And the only thing that like kept me kind of sane was editing this movie, which was about this PTSD character. Anyway, I'm still in it a little bit. It's like,
I mean, of course.
of course. Like, what? Yeah.
I mean, it's just like so many things, right? It's like if you go into, as we talk about quite often here, if you go into, plant medicine and plant journeys, or, even just like traditional, one-on-one therapy, like things that happened in your life matter, and they leave marks on your soul, if you will. So, like, of course, you're still in it because you're still alive. So, like,
Right.
like the effects of having to fear for your life, think about what to run away with, like what to let go of, in, out, come back again, your financial freedom, your mom, your like, it's a lot. And so, yeah, yes, it's a big deal. And yes, it's, of course, and it's going to stick with you for quite some time.
Yeah, to the point that I'm looking for a job, which I've never had to do. Like, I'm thinking of going into working a 9 to 5, all of this because of this jolt, right? Like, it's this jolt of like unsafety, and I need now something secure, not a freelance job anymore. I want something that is like a steady paycheck, blah 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 blah, because of this like thing. There was a massive wake up call. It was like, what matters? Well, that was the thing. It was like, what really actually matters, and what matters is like my memories, like my like looking at the pictures of my my college years. Like, I wish I had taken more pictures. I wish I have more memories of these things. I like incredible amount of gratitude for what I've lived so far. Like the incredible, like I was telling my brother this, if this had been burnt, all of these pictures, the memories of our childhood would have been just in our, like there's no physical evidence of it, right? Like there's no proof of life. Like you would have just have to take it on my word, basically, that I lived in this place, or I did this when I was a kid, or whatever, right? Like it's quite incredible that
It would have been much more limited, sure.
Yeah. Anyway, what a journey. But you were the one that lost a house or a place that you used to live in. And I almost did. So like you're in a different spot, very, very different spot.
Different spot, but I mean, we're two human beings and we're friends, and so of course we have, we always have that interconnectivity, and you knew the house too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I had a friend who had just moved in to Altadena. Just moved in, like as in weeks, and everything got burnt. Everything. It was like, wow. Like when you think that that's the other thing. Like it's just a reality check. Like some people lost it all.
Yeah.
How lucky. How lucky we are.
Indeed. Well, my friend, I appreciate the conversation as always.
Yes.
All right. Love you.
All right.
See you next time. Bye, everybody.
Okay, bye.